Welcome to Italics, television for the Italian-American experience. I'm your host, Anthony Tamburri. We spoke with Italian filmmaker Matteo Garrone, who is widely regarded as one of the most respected and innovative directors worldwide. His film, Io Capitano, was nominated for the Best International Feature Film at the 96 Academy Awards, representing Italy. Then we visited NOIAW's 2024 Annual Epiphany celebration at the Columbus Citizens Foundation. Matteo Garrone, known for his versatile storytelling, going from crime dramas to imaginative adaptations of classic tales, as well as immigration docudramas, has received numerous prestigious awards. His breakthrough came with Gomorrah in 2008, which won the Grand Prix at the Cannes Film Festival and 7 David Di Donatello Awards, including Best Film and Best Director. It also received 5 awards at the European Film Awards. His films, Tale of Tales and Dog Man, were selected to compete for the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Garrone received both the Best Producer and Best Director awards for the Nastro d'Argento for Dog Man, and received the latter again for Pinocchio. We connected with Matteo from New York while he was in LA just before this year's 96 Academy Awards ceremony.
Before I was a painter. Then I started to love cinema and I wanted to try a new expression.
Beh, oh, quello che te pare, io sono pronto.
Stem, toi coucou, stem, 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 toi coucou.
27 years that I'm making movie and I never went back to paint.
Are you willing to accept the risk?
What must we do?
I made 11 movies, but the most famous is Gomorrah, that I made 15 years ago. And probably Dogman.
L'amore mio bello.
Papà, pettinala.
And Pinocchio with Roberto Benigni.
I've been thinking to make with my hands by myself a wooden puppet. Pinocchio, try, say something.
And now Io Capitano nominated for the Best Foreign Movie at the Academy Award. The idea of Io Capitano starts from the desire to finally give visual form to a part of the journey that we don't see. Because in Italy we are used to see only the last part of the journey, when the boat with the migrant arrive, when they succeed to arrive. Not always they arrive, because in the last 10 years 30,000 people have died trying to reach Europe, making this journey. So we are used to listen on the news numbers of people alive, numbers of people died. And with time you get used that just number, all the same number. And once I went to see a friend that is the director of a center for a migrant minor in Sicily. And there I listened the story of Fofana, that was a boy that when he was 15 drove this boat and without know how to drive a boat, and saved the life of 250 people. And after this heroic act, was so proud, he said, Io Capitano, like the title of the movie, and then the police put him in jail as a trafficant of human being. I realized that there was the possibility to tell their journey from their point of view, but it took time. After that day, was 8 years ago, I was afraid to don't be the right person to tell this story, because I was thinking maybe an African should be more right, for a person that is inside of that culture. So I wait. I made Dogman, I made Pinocchio, but no one make it. So at the end, I decided to do it with them, together, working always together. So we wanted to to put the camera on the other side. We wanted to make a reverse shot. We want to tell this story from the point of view of the real protagonist, of the real hero, contemporary hero. We work together with real migrants. I've been a sort of intermediator. I put my experience at the service of their story, at the service of the people that usually don't have voice. And we made this epic journey. So it's a road movie, but at the same time it's also a coming of age of a boy that during the journey became a man. And that's why it's the reason that pushed us to make this movie. The actors were discovering this journey, they didn't know. But all the extra in the movie were real migrants, real person that made this adventure. So on the set, they could help me to recreate this world, trying to remain true, authentic. And sometimes they co-directing because they helped me to understand if the scene were coming out well or not, if they were feeling that they were something true or fake. You know, I can feel it from their reaction, if an actor was good or not, because they lived that experience, so they knew, you know. And I like to have always dialogue with the people that work with me, especially in this case that I work trying to finally show to the world what does it mean make this journey, what does it mean fight for have a rights that should be of everybody, the rights to move freely without risk your life. We made together the movie. Sometimes I was the first spectator, not the director. It's a movie that reminds me Gomorrah for some reason, because there is moment where it's almost documentaristic, the approach. But at the same time, it reminds me also Pinocchio. That is my last movie, you know. It's also fairy tales. It's a coming of age. It's the journey of a character that is innocent and discover the violence of the world. Two boys that look for the land of toy, like in Pinocchio, you know. You have him, and you have beside the cousin is Lucignolo. They escape without saying anything to the parents, like Pinocchio did with Geppetto. So there are many things in common also with Pinocchio. And but also something in common with Gomorrah for an approach that want to be very authentic, true, almost documentaristic. So I would say that I combine these two elements together. Then there are also moments more oniric, where I wanted to show what the main actor feel inside, you know. That's the reason why we put some moment also oniric, where you can show the trauma that he has inside. There are the two dreams that he make. One, he dreams about save the life of the woman, and the other to be forgiven by the mother. But the dimension of the magic that is in the culture, African culture, bring me back to the dimension of fairy tales that I said before. You know, for me, it's like the fairy tales is magic, but at the same time it's true. Anyway, it's true that it's a movie where there is violence, but at the same time the victim of this system, injustice, show the human solidarity, the humanity. The main character remain human till the end, but this comes from from true story. I try to keep alive this feeling that I felt staying with them. You know, this incredible energy, desire, dreams. They're dreaming about to reach our country. We show two migrants in the movie that are not escaping from war. Two migrants that live in their country in poverty, but with dignity. They have everything. But There is social media also there. There is television, there is social media, phone. So they can virtually start to live in our country. We create the dream. We create the illusion. Then we know very well that the background here is not like they think. You know, we know that people here sleep on the street. The life is very tough, but they don't know. So they are young. That's why I think it will be very important to screen this movie for the student. I have to say that it's been incredible, the response of the school in Italy. We screened the movie of almost 200,000 students, and I've been in front of thousands of students, and it's very important because they can immediately empathize with these kids because they have same age, same dreams, you know. It's a story of adventure, it's the journey of the hero, so it's very accessible to them. But at the same time, they can be more sensitive about this is the biggest tragedy of our time, you know. That's so they can see this drama from a different perspective, and they are our future. And the other things, I hope that also here in the States, especially in New York, there will be teachers that will screen this movie for the student, and they can see that behind the number there are human beings like them. We try to humanize this number, so that's why it's very important for the student to watch this movie with the hope that we will have a better world. Every movie changes you because you spend years of your life making a journey inside of another culture. So it's like when you make a long journey and you enter in another culture, you meet a lot of people, you know from inside something that you before you didn't know. So you change, you grow, you learn many things. That's what happens when you make a movie in general. In this case, I jump in another culture that was not mine, so probably I learned even more from this experience. You know, I had the possibility to discover things that I didn't know before.
NOIAW honored 3 Italian-American women who have made positive contributions within the greater community and especially in the area of women's empowerment. The 2024 honorees are Maryalice Mazzara, Director of Global Leadership Programs, Angela Christiano, geneticist, and Lisa Veglia, CEO of QSAC, an advocate for individuals with autism and a clinical social worker.
Of our awardees tonight have been selected because of who they are, their dedication, what they are accomplishing, and how they are adding to our ever-expanding group of Italian-American women making history. And they are making history with us here tonight.
I've always really attached great importance to NOIAW for obvious reasons in a way. It's the only Italian-American women's organization at the federal level for its history, its contribution, its programs. I mean, I don't have to explain you what NOIAW is. But one of the reasons why I really like getting to NOIAW and different activities of NOIAW, this is a way for me as a Consul General to get to know lots of Italian-American women in all the different sectors, industries, areas, who are honestly a constant, I wouldn't say surprise, but I have to say I'm surprised at how many they are in key positions in every area, and how little we know about them.
So last night I was going over the day and thought sometimes the right and wise thing is to stand tall and strong and make no apologies. This is especially true for me as a woman. I have to keep telling myself that instead of saying, I'm sorry, or something like that. And I said to myself, I really did say this, that's an epiphany. I'm like, oh my goodness, that connects to this. And I said this epiphany about women, for me, and then also being wise. So I think fittingly about Mother Cabrini movie. I've seen that on social media and people saying what a fantastic movie it is, and of course her life that's so impressive. And the little that I've read about the movie talks about how wise and strong and what an incredible difference she made. I don't need to tell this group here, but it's something I think New York and the US and many other people need to know about the impact that she had, caring for the poor and for the weak, and dealing with immigrants. It's exactly the story we're talking about now. And then I think about my father's father, Mr. Carmelo Mazzara. He left Sicily to come to America for a better life at that time. He loved America, and he was so grateful for this country. And he started a marble company in Brooklyn called US Marble, very appropriately. He was highly regarded and for his artisan's work and very successful financially in other ways. He was also oversaw much of the marble installations in the US government buildings that were being built in the 30s and 40s, the WPA. So although he died when I was 6 months old, I never got to know him except for the stories and the reunions. And when I was at the different family reunions of the Mazzaras and the Parisis and the Cardinales, I'd often be told, oh, you're so much like your grandfather. And that was really special to me, although sometimes it wasn't necessarily a compliment in some ways, because he was adventurous, entrepreneurial, but a bit of a rebel and definitely stubborn. But I realized sometimes you have to be stubborn to get things done, right? So that was like the one Sicilian word that I learned was how to say stubborn in Sicilian. And I'd always make the mistake of saying to my family members, I'd say, tell me about Grandpa, did he speak Italian? He didn't speak Italian. He spoke Sicilian. So I was very much raised in that. People say, are you Italian? I'm like, no, I'm Sicilian, and or Sicilian American. But I'd like to end my remarks by quoting what the Bible says about an exalted woman in Proverbs 31. It talks about a woman who's wise and strong, and she also incorporates many things related to Mother Cabrini and other people. I'm taking quotes from Proverbs 31. She was an entrepreneur. She considers a field and buys it. And out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She must be Italian. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. I pray that I can follow that example in the Bible and of the many other Italian American women who have made such a positive impact in this country.
My life story began when my great-grandparents came over from Italy on a boat called the Sardegna in 1903. My family settled just up the road at 116th Street and First Avenue, which at that time was Little Italy in East Harlem. At that time, there was many people from Sicily, from the middle and south. My family at that time was in Frosinone, and they came over as a group. My grandmother, Teresa Prezioso, was the first in a proud line of what I love to call difficult women. My grandfather, Ernest, who came from a little bit further south in Avellino on a boat called the Patria, 1911, was raised in Italy, and so he spoke only beautiful and fluent Italian. He came here training to be a barber. My grandmother got bored of being the one who made the coffee and wanted to be the one who made the decisions. And so she helped my grandfather open a barbershop very close to Naples Avenue and quickly got bored doing the domestic work. So she took a job at Bamberger's in Newark, which many of you may remember. My grandmother sold hats proudly at Bamberger's department store in Newark to help support her family, which at that time was unheard of, really, for a young mother of 2 young children to be working outside the home. My mother, the third in the line of difficult women, was the smart one. Had my mother had the benefit of a formal education, she would have been dangerously smart. She was brilliant in ways that, again, when you look back and think how insightful for her time. My mom was desperate to go to school, and at that time, again, it was expected that women would stay home or have a trade or whatever. The Army came around to their town looking for nurses because the Army was in desperate need of nurses at that time. So my mom took an exam and got the top score and came home excitedly to tell her parents the Army would make her a nurse for free. And my grandfather completely destroyed it and put a full stop to it and completely forbade her to go. So my mom never got the benefit of that part of her education, unfortunately, because had she, I think she could have done anything. So I, as Donna said, grew up in Nutley, which is one town over from Belleville. At that time, Nutley was very much a blue-collar town. Very few people dreamed of college or even got to move out of the town. And I knew full well that my parents would oppose any effort I made to go to college. And so I was blessed at this time by incredible high school teachers who saw in me some potential for science and research and saw to it that I had the chance to apply to college, to scholarships, and helped me really get my scholarship to Rutgers. And when I came home to tell my parents that, very similar to my mother years before, my mother considered it the ultimate act of defiance and basically said, "You're on your own. You want to do it? See ya." She barely spoke to me for 4 years. And when I came back and said, I'm staying for a master's and probably a PhD, that was it. She pretty much gave up on me. And I started at that time to learn the importance of family outside the family. And even though my own birth family really wasn't able to help me during that time, all of a sudden I was introduced to these other families. And for the first time I learned in high school, where I had a work study at Hoffman La Roche, which you may remember was in Nutley years ago, I learned what a lab family was like. And a lab is sort of like a dysfunctional family at the holidays. Everybody's screaming and yelling, everybody has their own personality, but everyone in that group has a role and a function. And if one person's not on their game, it can knock the whole thing really off its axis. And so I began to understand that science is really a family activity, and to do research and to really have it go well, you have to run your lab like you run a kitchen, almost. And when you do that, the best things can happen, and I've been blessed to have my lab families throughout my life. Eventually, later in life, my mom came around, and she eventually started taking credit for a lot of the work that I did. Go figure. And so one of my mom's most brilliant quotes was, "You see, in the end, Angela followed in the footsteps of her parents. Her grandfather was a barber, her mom was a hairdresser, and now look, she does hair. She just does it at Columbia."
When I was asked to prepare my remarks, it was about how my Italian-American heritage impacted my life. There are many different things that influenced me, but I think it was my parents' work ethic that impacted me the most. And my parents had 4 children, 2 boys first, 2 girls. My father probably would have quit off the 2 boys, but my mom wanted girls, went on for the girls. But I will say that my parents never treated their daughters any differently than their sons with respect to career path. And they pushed us forward for education, go to school, make a difference, find something that you enjoy doing, do the work, and impact other people's lives. And I feel like that always stood with me. And here I am today, and I love the work that I do. We do amazing work for people with autism. I'm sure you know. Over the past 3 decades, autism has gone from maybe 1 in 10,000 children being diagnosed to 1 in roughly 68 children today. QSAC serves children and adults throughout New York City and Long Island and their families, and we make a tremendous impact, and I'm so glad to be able to be a part of that. And just having my parents' influence over those years doing that, and just it being always in the back of my mind. Work hard, do good, make a difference, and it was always do the work, Lisa. You have to do the work. So whether it's, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be about your career. If you want to learn an instrument, you do the work. If you want to run a marathon, which some of us are training for, you do the work. And it always was going back to that piece. And my parents got that from their grandparents and their own parents who immigrated to America and had to make a life for themselves here. And it was challenging because some of it was during the Depression era. My grandparents on my father's side had a grocery store in the Bronx. On my mom's side, laundromat in Brooklyn. And I remember hearing stories that my grandfather, he was struggling. People couldn't afford to buy food. So obviously a grocery store would struggle. But his people in the neighborhood, he would give them food for free because he knew that was their only way and it was the right thing to do. So what did he do? He did the work. He just worked harder, just to dig himself out, take care of the people in the neighborhood, but still take care of his family, and ultimately business prevailed and they survived. And that was back again, just doing the right thing for the right reasons and working really hard. It's been a tremendous honor. Congratulations, ladies, and thank you all for being here.
Thanks for watching this episode of Italics. I'm Anthony Tamburri. Arrivederci alla prossima puntata.